go halfway, and I'm going to use a 70 needle and thread up the machine. Let's do this. So it's got princess seams in there, and it's so important when you do princess seams is that you do mark all your notches. Now I don't cut V's out, I just cut straight into the notch. So I know that's got to match there. So what you have to do is very, very carefully go very, very slowly on the machine, and by the time you've managed to ease that in, you'll be very surprised, but you'll find that notch actually matches up. And you can, if you want to, put slits there as an extra notch to help you if you want to, and then match it up to the end at the bottom of the pattern. So you make one waistcoat in the lining, one waistcoat in the main fabric, and then you bring it all together. So good sides together, leave those pieces there. So we've got one side panel and one front panel. So find the notch. So there's my notch. There are the two notches. There we go. Match them up. And I really don't want it to move, so I double pin. I call this double pinning. So I put the pin in and out and in and out again. And these are long enough pins. And make sure you get that notch accurate. Then I always do the bottom. I don't know why, but I always go for the bottom first. Okay. And I want them to match accurately. There. I'm going to put a pin in like that. And then I want to make sure, so see the straight bit there, that straight bit there has to go on that straight bit there. So that's the side panel. So they've already helped you by showing you at what angle to sew this. So can you see? Okay. So now can you see all this? You've got all this fabric on the top to get through there. Now the way you do it is you curve it. So as you're sewing it, I hold it up like this. And can you see how I curve it up? Suddenly it seems to be matching more, doesn't it? So I shouldn't get any hiccups, I shouldn't get any blips, any creases or anything like that. And then we should get a nice seam there. Okay, let's go for it. I'm going to go nice and slow. I've got my magnet on 5/8. Slow the machine down and let's see what happens. That straight bit there hits the wall of the magnet like that. Hopefully you can see that, and then we'll just start. Going to stop there for a sec just to get my position. I don't stretch any fabrics, the top or the bottom. Make sure that's out of the way. Slightly misaligned there, so I'm going to just tug it over. There we go. Okay, and then just keep holding it upwards. So I'm curving everything up. I'm just going to bring it up to the pin. I'm not going to worry about the pin. And I'm just going to just bring that fabric round now and then start curving up again. And the thing about putting lots of pins in, you'll get lots of bridges or bumps or humps or whatever you want to call them. And if you get lots of those, you will end up with a puckered princess seam. So try and just stick to a couple of pins if you can, and then you should be fine. I'm going to take this pin out because it wasn't at an angle. Okay, and they should cross over here. Can you see the way they cross over? And they should cross over at the 5/8. And that's it, perfect. Okay, so that's how you do a princess seam. And you can see there, let's take that pin out, and that one. And then if I open it up, you can see there is no puckering. Oh, that's just a crease because I pressed it over, didn't I? Pushed it over. And there you go. So you just press this now onto a ham. All right, and I'll show you what a ham is in a minute. But I'm going to crack on and get the others done. So now with the front seams, we've got a lot more curve than we have on the back. When you're doing outside curves like this, ideally what you want is to clip it, and then when you've clipped it right up to the seam, so let me show you, right up to the stitches, like that. There we go. And then again, I'm going to make sure I press it towards the side. So make yourself a ham. You don't need to buy them. I think it's just a bag with wood shavings in. I picked up from the pet shop. Nothing special. Wood is good. Wood is good. Wood is good for things like this because it absorbs the heat and the steam, and it helps cool the fabric down quickly. It's one of those old-fashioned techniques. My mum used to use this when she used to do the laundry. She used to have a big piece of wood. It was just, I don't know, it might have even been a chopping board. It looked like a chopping board. And she used to steam Dad's shirts and my brother's shirts and use the chopping board, wooden chopping board, to crease the collars and what have you. Right, might be. So now attach the shoulders. So I'll work with, tell you what, we'll work with the lining because it's all handy. So good sides together. So that's the back, one of the fronts and the other front, and we'll just match them up at the shoulders. I'm going to do the waistcoat sides. Okay. So if I get all of the sides together and sew them as individual sides, so I end up with two waistcoats, one in the main fabric and one in the lining. I will leave one of the lining sides incomplete, and the reason is, it's very simple. I'll show you. So here, can you see, I've sewn a bit at the top and I've sewn a bit at the bottom, and I've left a little bit there I've got a turning hole which is big enough to put my hand through, and that should be enough to pull the whole of the waistcoat through. So I've got the two sides of the front done. I'm just going to do the two sides now, the second side of the lining, and I'm going to go all the way down on the second side of the lining. So I've got only one turning hole. If this waistcoat or the jacket was had sleeves, I would leave the turning hole in the sleeve. Okay, I've given it a good press, and what I've done now is I've laid the good sides together. So the good side of the waistcoat with the good side of the lining, so you can see all the seams there. And I'm going to sew just one of the armholes first, and then I'm going to sew the other. So curve the fabric round, work with your fabric, don't force it straight. So okay, so you need to pull it all through that hole, and then you end up with a nice neatly finished underarm. Now you can, if you want to, understitch this, but you need to clip first. So when you've done that first one, let me just show you what we're going to do. We want that to sit like that, don't we? So what I have to do is get that to go good sides together. I'm going to turn that one good sides together. So I folded the lining in, and I've folded this in. And then I'm going to sew from there, and again match all the seams. So you have to, once you've done one sleeve, you have to bring all the lining back out and then do the other sleeve. So work with the curve, stop when you need to readjust. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so there's the jacket, taking it off. And now what you need to do is you need to sew good sides together. So I would need to put those together like that, wouldn't I? So basically what I'm going to do is turn it all the wrong way through. If I carry on up here, make sure I match all the integral parts there. There's a notch there that you can match. So now I've managed to sew all that. I'm pulling it all out through the turning hole that I've got in this side. There we go. And then I just need to get my hand in there. Oh, it's on my side now, isn't it? And just go round and smooth everything off and trim any stitches that need trimming, understitch anywhere that needs understitching that you'd like to do. Oh, I've got a pin stuck in there. I just pinned the centre point, so there was a hint of a fold on both the lining and the main fabric, so I've matched them up because I know I laid that fabric on there like that. So just go round and doing everything, pulling it all out, making sure it's all matching. And now I'm going to give it a press and try it on. There it is, all nicely done. It was a bit tricky because I didn't have the instructions, but pretty straightforward because I've made these before. There's nothing really complicated about these. The only complicated thing is making sure these princess seams are matched at the back. They're pretty straightforward because they're straighter than the ones at the front, so you need to take your time. As long as you take your time, you're fine, and they will match up. If you get puckering, you really need to be careful not to stretch. You saw that I changed my needle to make sure that I had a fine enough needle to deal with the lining, but something thick enough to deal with the cotton. I like it, and thank you.